Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here, the Raptors Digest, reacting to the Toronto Raptors 100-94 win against the Milwaukee Bucks, Ryker. We are going to the finals. We are going to the NBA Finals, Ryker. I am lost for words.
Well, Ben, I'll allow you a second to gather your thoughts then. We'll start with the comment of the day, eh? And today we're not actually giving a comment of the day. This is the opportunity. Obviously, this is the first time, like you said, first time in history that the Raptors are going on. So the best comment, that is going to get our next dance giveaway. We're giving away the best socks that we have, the OVO jersey, Toronto Raptors socks. So get in the comments for that. We want to hear what you guys think about tonight's game. And right now, Ben, we're going to talk about what we thought about tonight's game because this is history setting. It is the biggest moment in Toronto Raptors history, but probably all of Toronto sports. This is crazy. Kawhi Leonard, he did it. Fred VanVleet, he did it. Masai Ujiri, he did it. Nick Nurse, Drake. It all came together.
Everything, Ryker. Every single thing. Watching that post-game ceremony, seeing the faces, seeing just Masai Ujiri's look of just satisfaction. You know, Kyle Lowry, a player that's been with us for the past 7 years. He is the one that turned around our franchise. Him coming in, him being the star that he is. You know, year after year being called the trash bros. You know, having to face LeBron, face the memes, facing all this dumb stuff. You know, the fan base loves him, the fan base hates him. Everyone's turned on Kyle Lowry. Everyone roots behind Kyle Lowry. He's a guy that's been there thick and thin. To see the satisfaction in his face, to hear the crowd, you know, when he's holding the trophy, chant Lowry. I was crying, Ryker, looking at the TV. I was absolutely shook. Seeing Kawhi Leonard, not just in this game, you know, the look of just, you know, he brought a team to the finals. You know, he came in here, he brought a franchise that hasn't been there ever to the finals. You know, Kawhi Leonard, he's proving he's one of the greatest players. He's one of the greats in NBA history. You know, Norman Powell, Fred VanVleet, two guys that people completely threw under the bus. You know, podcast after podcast, you know, that we be reacting to games, reading the comments. You know, Fred VanVleet, even we gave up on Fred VanVleet, saying he shouldn't be playing despite the fact we thought he was still a decent player. Norman Powell, throughout the regular season, people were saying we should trade him for a bag of peanuts after he got that big contract. Riker, to see all these players play well, just I'm so satisfied as a Raptors fan, and we get to play in the NBA Finals, and we'll be talking about that, a lot about those NBA Finals predictions and all that coming up in future videos.
Yeah, well, we're not talking about that tonight. We're talking about tonight,
Yeah.
because there's so much to break down. And before we get into the analytics, it is worth mentioning everything that you said, the euphoria, the joy, the celebration. Kawhi Leonard, expressive, and it wasn't just him. I mean, it was, he brought guys that are deserving to go to the NBA Finals. He finally allowed Kyle Lowry the opportunity to elevate his game and get to that platform. Same thing can be said for Gasol, but guys like Fred VanVleet and Norman Powell, they helped Kawhi out in this game and this entire series, in them and the Raptors, and allowing them to bring to that next level. Nick Nurse, all the credit. Masai Ujiri, you could just see it. And it was so crazy to watch the post-game. It was funny to listen to the reactions because they didn't allow very much time for celebration, at least not in their words, because they said, you know, it's good that we're going, but we're not satisfied. They're really looking forward to the NBA Finals. But to me, this felt like the NBA Finals because the Raptors were counted down and out, and everything that we've been talking about this entire season long has been saying we need to get to this point in order to then have the conversation, will Kawhi want to stay or not? And it all finally came together, Ben. But let's talk about Kawhi Leonard. Let's start right there. 17 rebounds. He out-rebounded Giannis Antetokounmpo tonight. 27 points. I don't know how many, 7 assists I think that he had. And he stepped up in the fourth quarter big time. He had one of the nastiest poster slams. I've criticized him for having the most boring dunks in the NBA and had one of the biggest dunks I've ever seen in my entire life. What did he do tonight? Well, that he's done every single night, but how is it so special?
Well, the first half, you know, the Raptors, they were down. You know, all of Raptors fans were nervous. People that were on the live, they knew. I said I was confident, but I was still nervous. You know, Kawhi only had 8 points going to the half. That third quarter, we got to talk about that third quarter first. You know, just the way he willed the Toronto Raptors back. They were down by 15, Ryker. And then Kawhi gets that and one. He gets those step back fades. He's taking the threes aren't going down, so he's taking those mid-range pull-ups. He's getting to the free throw line. He's out hustling. He wants it more than the Milwaukee Bucks. And then you mentioned it, the fourth quarter. He sits out the beginning after he's willed the team back. Fred VanVleet and Norman Powell, the bench mob for this year, they brought it back, and they put Kawhi in a position to really take his claws and yank this game away from the Milwaukee Bucks, and Kawhi Leonard did it. Kyle Lowry, the possession that was just symbolic. It was a metaphor for this season. Kyle Lowry, he did all the dirty work for the Toronto Raptors. He got the team from, him and DeMar DeRozan. We got to give credit to DeMar DeRozan as well. Two of those guys brought the team from the gutters to a respectable franchise. Kyle Lowry gets a steal from the Milwaukee Bucks. He makes a beautiful strip, and then Giannis is chasing him down as Lowry goes down the lane. And then, Lowry doesn't finish it off. He gives it to Kawhi to finish it off, and he throws down, as you mentioned, one of the greatest dunks I've ever seen over Giannis Antetokounmpo. It was pure symbolism to watch that play happen on the court. Kyle Lowry doing the gritty stuff for the Toronto Raptors, and Kawhi finishing the deal, being our closer, being our superstar, the player we need. He didn't even have that great of shooting night, but he did everything he needed to do for the Toronto Raptors to win this game. 27 points, 17 rebounds, 7 assists, Ryker.
It's I'm struggling for words because this is a guy that there was so much uncertainty around him. We're going to miss so many things tonight, Ben, and that we could talk about this game. We'll have our predictions and our breakdown of the series tomorrow probably. But it might even be worth revisiting tonight's game again, because we're kind of just laying out how we feel, right? How it feels to be a Raptors fan, how it feels to finally be in the position where we have the superstar on our team. We've been a team that's been plagued by the shadow or the figure that is LeBron James. He's been in the Raptor, and we'd never have known what it's felt like to have a player like that. And you said it to me before we started this podcast. I thought the Raptors played great defense, undeniably, the entire game, except for the very beginning of the first quarter. But they played lockdown defense. They forced turnovers. They actually had block shots. They were getting steals. But their offense just did not come around until Kawhi Leonard and the bench started just absolutely doing everything out there on the court. I was worried when they were down by 15. It seemed like, I think, 4 minutes left in the third quarter. I was not certain that they were going to win this game. And you just felt like... You said to me, what was it, at the end of the half? You thought that knew that they were going to win?
The first quarter was horrible. I was feeling pretty, uninspired after the first quarter. But the way they started playing in the second quarter, the way they were moving the ball, the Kyle Lowry, they stopped being tense and they started being aggressive. And then whether the shots went down, I just had a feeling that they were going to win. I said on the live at halftime on the Instagrams, if you're not following the Instagram, definitely follow the Instagram Raptors Digest. But I said I'm confident in this team. I thought the Raptors would come out. They'd start hitting shots at some point, and I just loved the way that they were playing. Even when they were down, I was like, they got this game.
Well, this is my point. Imagine the Raptors team being down 15 points and still being confident in them.
Yep.
Usually the Raptors can be up. They can be up by a bunch, and you
40.
still are so scared that they're going to let the game slip. But ultimately, Raptors in 6. That's what we both predicted. We both stuck to our convictions, even when people thought that they were down. Raptors in 6.
Ryker, and this is kind of metaphoric to when we played the Bucks in 2017, right? We were favored to go in there. Obviously, it's two completely different rosters, but remember Game 6 of that series when the Raptors it seemed like they had it closed out. They were up by 30 for most of the game, and the Bucks made that crazy run, and the Raptors only ended up winning by 1 point off that DeMar DeRozan dunk. This game was a flip. It was a reverse. Even though, you were in 2017, the Raptors up by 30 and you still didn't feel confident. But tonight, the Raptors down by 15 and you still had that swagger as a Raptors fan that they can bounce back. And the team still had that bounce back mentality, and they did it, Ryker. We're going to the finals.
We're going to the NBA Finals. Tell me this, Ben. You told me before the podcast as well, you almost feel bad for the Milwaukee Bucks. Why do you feel that way?
Well, the Milwaukee, they're a team that I like. They're just a team that I kind of root for, aside, obviously not even close to the Toronto Raptors. But I like Giannis. I think they're a respectable team. I'm not a big fan of Wisconsin, the some stuff that goes around there. But I'm a fan of the Milwaukee Bucks roster, how they're assembled. They're built the right way, but I feel bad for the Bucks they had to lose, but I feel much, much better for us, the Toronto Raptors, after everything we went through.
Well, let's keep the train rolling here with just the positive thoughts, the positive things.
Yep.
Like I said, I think it's worthwhile revisiting tonight and having an actual more technical breakdown. I'm sure people love to hear that kind of thing. But just holistically, high level, let's run through the game really quick. What sort of stood out to you in terms of maybe offensive highlights, defensive highlights, maybe even stats? We can swing into the segments, but I'd say I'm wondering from you just first, who stood out to you, top 3 players maybe on both ends?
Yeah, well, the game started off. The Bucks came out more desperate, more aggressive. The only player that really showed desperation in the first quarter was Kyle Lowry. And he's, as I mentioned, he's our bull, he's our engine. He had that play at the beginning of the game where the ball was going out of bounds and he hits it, right off Middleton's leg. He's still not ready. He hits it again to Kawhi for a dunk in the first half. But aside from that, the Bucks came out with more desperation. Leo Rautins was on the broadcast saying it left and right that the Bucks looked like the more aggressive team, getting offensive rebounds, getting all these sorts of things. But around the second quarter, the Raptors kind of flipped a switch in terms of their aggression, their mentality, and even though it took a while to really get them back in the game, the Raptors won every single quarter after that. They were down 31-18 after the first. They won the second quarter by 6 points, won the third by 2, and they won the fourth by 11. They outplayed the Milwaukee Bucks for the rest of the game. There was just play after play, moment after moment in this one. The Danny Green, he struggled in this game, but aside from him, it seemed like every other player had a moment. Serge Ibaka had that Shaq-esque dunk underneath the rim. Fred VanVleet, he had that step-back 3 over Brook Lopez. Shout out to, actually, Riker, before we swing into the segments and name any other players. Fred VanVleet, the highest plus-minus for this game, a plus 12, 14 points, 4 of 5 from the three-point line, and maybe some could argue that most of his threes in the last game were completely open. Some of the threes he was hitting and the shots he was hitting tonight were dumb. They were dumb good. It was just shots that were such big. The confidence in Fred VanVleet to be struggling a whole entire postseason, Riker, for the biggest games of his life, to come out and he just had a kid, for the biggest games of his life to play like this. My hat's off to Fred VanVleet. It's remarkable what he's done for the Toronto Raptors.
Ben, you're absolutely right. And there's too many moments this game. I was watching the highlights afterwards, immediately after the game ended, because I watched the entire game, and it's still so exciting to go back and see. And you can watch it a second time and maybe even break down the plays.
Inject that into my veins, Riker. Those highlights.
If I can, I will, Ben, and I'll let you know. Oh, it's better than any sort of, I don't know, any sort of big moment that happened.
How are you feeling, Riker?
I always say this. It's so strange to be a sports fan, and I wonder what people that are not fans of sports and don't feel attached to a team, how do they get joy in their lives? Because really, if the Raptors win, if they lose, it doesn't matter. If Kawhi hits his big shot, it doesn't make a difference. And yet for us, we have the podcast, so that's a little bit of extra sort of stuff riding on why we would be cheering for the Raptors. But really, it means nothing in the end of the day. But you just feel so close to this team, and you feel so passionate about it, and you feel like their losses are your losses, their wins are your wins. I've been saying every podcast how stressed I am and how that's affecting my body and my mind and everything. So I'm just over the moon that my family they're an old family in Newfoundland. None of them ever watch basketball. They know nothing about basketball. My mom sent me a picture. My grandparents, my great uncles and aunts, they were all together watching the game tonight, cheering when the Raptors won. They don't even know what's going on, and they're still getting behind the bandwagon. So I'm over the moon, Ben. If I'm sure you feel the same way.
Oh yeah, and if we're shouting out fams, how deeply rooted Raptors basketball is in my family. My parents were both crying on FaceTime. I'm in Montreal. They're back in Newfoundland as well. It's remarkable what this moment in history as Raptors fans. It's so big. It's so memorable. You'll always remember what happened in this game. Just Riker, this is one of the greatest moments in my Raptors fandom, if not the greatest. Up there with Bismack Biyombo in Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals a couple years back. And he was in the building as well tonight.
Much love. Ben, let's swing into the segments. Let's not do anything crazy here. Just the positive things only. What stood out?
Yep. Tonight, the Kawhi doing like that play of the day. It can't be anything but that steal from Kyle Lowry and the handoff to Kawhi to really, really set a run. I know the Bucks bounced back after this run that could have ended the game. But that run really just took the ceiling off of the Scotiabank Arena, the ACC, whatever you call it. It's that dunk by Kawhi. That's got to be another mural in the city.
Absolutely, Ben. Absolutely.
But not all plays can be the Kawhi doom like that play of the day, and some just make you say, "Oh, geez." And tonight, the "Oh, geez" play of the day. It's gotta go to me, the step back three from Fred VanVleet. I know I already mentioned both of these plays.
Sidestep.
Yeah, the sidestep. It was Fred VanVleet. To see him, you're kind of wired after you see him miss a lot of shots for a couple series. You're like, oh, he shoots you lose the kind of confidence in there. This whole series, he's completely flipped that switch. Every time Fred the ball left his hands, you expected to go in. That was the first one I was like, oh, yikes, that's a tough shot. And then he still makes it, Riker. He still makes it over a man that looked like he was 4 feet taller than him.
Well, if you remember the shot where Norman Powell, it was late possession, he took a fadeaway three. I even had confidence that might go in. The line felt right.
Yep.
Wrong power, but for two guys for Norman Powell has been amazing, nothing short of spectacular against the Milwaukee Bucks. But for the most part, two guys that have been struggling in the postseason, to get to the point where I'm confident even with these somewhat circus shots,
Ridiculous.
late second, over big defenders, I still feel like that they're, for the most part, going to go in. So that's just the magic of the Raptors. One, the Raptors playing at home and what the fans are able to do with the confidence for all the players. And then two, just getting to this point where they feel like they can win and every shot is going to go in. And you can feel that as a fan too, watching the game. You just feel like their shots, no matter what they are, they're going to go into the bucket.
Certainly. And finally, the infamous, the one and only Damari Carroll Gold Star Award. Riker, it's for me, it's got to go to all those breaks, all those stoppages at the end of this game. I was about to have a heart attack, Riker. I'm sure people have had heart attacks just from the last half hour of this game. There was all stoppages, and maybe if it was going pace by pace, I would have just exploded. But the fact that I had to wait, and Raptors fans had to wait each moment for something to happen, about a minute, 30 seconds in between each second, I my heart couldn't handle it. I'm sure a lot of people out there passed out, cry. I don't know, but as a young-bodied person myself, I unfortunately didn't pass out or anything, but that took a toll on me watching the end of this game.
Absolutely. For me, the Gold Star Award, I love the fans. I love you guys, everybody that's boosted our platform and allowed us to just talk freely and have fun and entertain this whole debate. I like I said, I love you guys, but for everyone that doubted the Raptors and that called us crazy for so confidently picking us to win against the Bucks in 6, you guys are getting the Gold Star Award for this one. Love you guys, but you gotta have faith in the boys. They went out and delivered. Shout out to Charles Barkley. Even the Americans there, everybody knows they can respect when the Toronto Raptors are coming in and Kawhi Leonard to do business. Gold Star Award also to Paul Pierce for saying the Bucks got this when clearly they did not have that.
And he picked the Raptors at the beginning of the series because he said a lot of people in Toronto hate the Raptors. And, after the first 2 games, he switched his opinion, and the curse was reverted, Riker.
I love it. It's all in jest, of course. Everybody, it's hard. It's so hard to speculate with basketball because anything could happen. And it's just great that they came out and won. So it's so fun that we're now able to have the podcast. Our season goes even longer, Ben. We get to talk more about basketball before, obviously, all the rumors and all the fun stuff kicks in. We're still in contention. We're down to the last 2 in the entire NBA.
Riker, we are 2 games away from being 2 games away. This is our year.
Ben, we also have to enjoy this moment of you and I being happy together because we're going to get into some intense debate, obviously, about what's going to happen, what the outcomes of the finals are. So I'm really glad that we're enjoying this moment right now together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have some exciting videos coming up just after some preliminary talks about our expectations for the next series. So definitely stay tuned to the Raptors Digest. Subscribe to the channel for some good upcoming videos. We're in a state of bliss right now. We didn't probably give the greatest analysis on this game, but we certainly gave a solid analysis on how we're feeling, how Raptors fans are feeling, just to see your reactions. Send us your reactions in the Instagram DMs. We want to see how you guys felt in this moment because just like Kawhi's Game 7 game winner, this was a huge moment. And, when you're a Raptors fan, this is a huge moment in your life. This is a moment that you won't forget. So we want to see all your guys' reactions. So send them over to us. You're
like
the best
I said,
for making
Ben,
it this far.
Oh, yeah. No, finish it off, and then I'll...
You're the best for making it this far. Check out the Twitter, the Instagram, all that cool stuff. Riker, you hit him with the last words.
The last words, like I said, best comment, we're giving away the OVO socks, and we'll also announce whoever got the last prize. I don't think that we did that, so a lot of giveaways, because this is Raptors time. This is the time to celebrate. We're celebrating it, you're celebrating it, and wow, we just got a lot coming up. We have a lot on our plates now, Ben.
Big facts, brother. Raps getting this chip. Getting this chip, bro.
Who knows? You got to stay tuned to find out. Cheers.